Hi everyone, my name's Wendy and this is Show Me Mo Vegan, where I make easy, whole food vegan meals. Today I'm making a ridiculously easy Instant Pot curry. This isn't a traditional curry at all. The idea behind this is convenience. So this is for when you're short on time, you hadn't planned anything for dinner, maybe you haven't gone to the grocery store in a while, so we're using all things that you can keep stocked in your pantry and your freezer. Let's see how we put it together. I'm using a 6-quart Instant Pot. We're starting with dried red lentils and yellow split peas. If you can't find yellow split peas, you could use green. The color at the end will just turn out a little bit differently. I like the yellow because it turns it into a beautiful golden dish. Lentils and split peas are great because you don't have to soak them overnight. You can if you want, but especially cooking them in the Instant Pot, they cook so quickly even without soaking. Next, we're using frozen veggies. I'm starting with a mixture of carrots, celery, and onion. I've also found onions, peppers, and celery before, and that would work as well. Of course, if you wanted to, you could absolutely use fresh veggies and chop them yourself. Again, I'm going for maximum convenience here. Next up, riced cauliflower. I love the texture this adds, plus it's extra vegetables, and even if you don't like cauliflower, you won't notice it's in here. The last frozen ingredient is sweet potatoes. If you can't find sweet potatoes, I've also found butternut squash in the frozen section, and that would work as well. Next are spices. I have a tablespoon of curry powder. I'm using one from Thrive Market, which does have salt added to it. So if you are strictly salt-free, you would want to find a salt-free curry powder blend, or you might need to make your own. And then a half tablespoon each of onion and garlic. And this can be powdered or granulated. The curry powder has turmeric in it. Whenever you're cooking something with turmeric, you want to add some black pepper to help you absorb the curcumin in the turmeric. Or is it turmeric? Comment down below, are you team turmeric or turmeric? And then I'm adding 1 box of vegetable broth. I like this low sodium option. This is 32 ounces, so you could also just use 4 cups of your own homemade broth or just water if you wanted. And at this point, we'll want to stir everything around a little bit. Your frozen veggies will still be frozen. You can pull them right out of the freezer, so it's fine if everything isn't perfectly combined. You'll just want to kind of stir around to make sure the lentils and yellow split peas aren't stuck on the bottom. If you wanted to, you could jazz this up a little bit by adding some fresh garlic if you have it on hand, or if you keep pre-minced garlic in your fridge, you could throw that in here too. Last but not least, I'm adding a can of no salt added diced tomatoes. I always add the tomatoes on the top and then I don't stir them in. Sometimes tomatoes will give you the burn warning in your Instant Pot, so it's best to pour them on top. And then again, just leave the tomatoes like that, don't stir them in. We'll put the lid on. Select pressure cook, turn off the keep warm setting, and we'll turn the time down to 15. And start. This will take a little bit of time to pressurize. Since we're using frozen ingredients, it has to heat all of those up before it can pressurize. It took mine about 28 minutes to come up to pressure. But remember, you don't have to babysit the Instant Pot. You can go off and do something for yourself. Maybe take a nice walk, do a little meditation, or finish up some chores around the house. And after it's done cooking, I allow it to natural release for about 10 to 15 minutes, and if there's any remaining pressure, you can go ahead and do a manual or quick release. I'm serving this with brown basmati rice, which I cooked in my Instant Pot. In my 6-quart Instant Pot, I added 2 cups of rinsed brown basmati rice, along with 2.5 cups of water. You could also use broth here if you'd like more flavor. You'll select pressure cook and set your time for 22 minutes. It'll take about 8 to 10 minutes to come up to pressure, and then after the 22-minute cook time, you'll do a natural release, which will take about 10 to 12 minutes. Of course, you could also serve this with any other kind of grain you like, and if you don't have an Instant Pot, you can absolutely cook it on the stovetop. Now that this is done cooking and depressurized, this is ready to go. If you're going for maximum convenience like me, you can eat it just like this with whatever grain you have already cooked in the fridge. Like I said, I'm having this with brown basmati rice, which is my favorite to go along with this dish. A lot of grocery stores are now carrying frozen cooked rice, so you could use that, or a shelf-stable rice that's already cooked. You just have to nuke it in the microwave and then you're ready to go. If you did have a little extra time and energy, there are a few things you could add in at this point. You could add some fresh lemon, or if you don't have lemons, you might add some apple cider vinegar or rice wine vinegar. You could also add some fresh greens. So once it's done cooking, you would want to open it up, add those greens in right now and stir it in. The heat will wilt them up. But I'm just going to eat it just like this. So come on in and take a look. If you wanted to, you could also add more liquid. If you don't like it this consistency and you wanted it a little more soupy, feel free to add more broth or just water. I like this thicker consistency. It is time for the taste test. And like I said, I'm just eating this plain how I showed you. My mom would say this needs more color, so if you had them, you could chop up some fresh herbs, maybe parsley or cilantro, throw that on top. But we're just going with the basics. All right, here we go. It's really hot. I've had this before, so I already know I like it. But let's see how it turned out this time. It's so simple and easy to put together, and it tastes really great. And as with all of my recipes, feel free to mix and match anything and everything. So like I said at the beginning, you could use different things like butternut squash instead of sweet potatoes. You could use other frozen veggies like broccoli or maybe just regular cauliflower instead of the cauliflower rice. And if you have any fresh veggies on hand that you need to use up, throw those in as well. Maybe some zucchini or eggplant. Really, anything you want to add is fair game. Depending on exactly what you add in, the consistency might come out a little differently and you might need to add more or less liquid, but play around with it and see what you come up with. I hope you'll give this really easy recipe a try. Let me know if you do in the comments, and if you liked this video, hit the thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel for more easy, whole food vegan recipes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.